welcome back. This is MeiLani Hock with Why Not Me B&B, and we are getting into nitty-gritty stuff. We are talking about how your pricing is profit. Pricing if profit. You can only make money if you price it correctly, guys. And in real estate investing, we talk about how you make money when you buy the property. That's true. That applies here too. But you also make money when you price it right, day after day after day. And I'm going to teach you the tricks and hacks to make sure that you're doing that. A few different ways to do it to see whatever works with you, okay? So just a reminder, our disclaimer, your success is up to you. Your research, your numbers, make sure that you are taking responsibility for your own thing, but hopefully we're going to help you to become Airbnb superheroes, okay? Now on our path, we've talked about a bunch of different things. Now we're up to number 4. Pricing is profit, okay? Pricing is profit. So let's get into how to price your property. We left off in the last module about making sure that you're getting in and you're listing your property as soon as possible before you even go shopping, okay? Make sure you're listing it before you even go shopping. But wait. Before you go listing it, you got to make sure that you have priced it correctly. Now, in our full course, this is one of the worksheets we use, but you can make one as well on your own. That's just going to break down what and how you run your comps, all right? In the real estate industry, you might be used to running comps. So the first thing you're gonna do is, especially if it's a new area for you, you are gonna familiarize yourself with airdna.co, not .com, airdna.co. There's other websites out there that can help you as well, but with airdna.co, this is what's gonna give us a rough overview. Here, let me go back to this. It's gonna give you a rough overview of the area. I don't even pay for the analyzers. I just look at the data. Now, don't feel like this is the Bible. It's not going to teach you everything, okay? And in fact, one of the first times I did it, it pulled up and it's like, you're going to be 35% occupied. I was like, oh crap, I'm not going to make any money on this thing. But then I realized, they're taking into account like part-time Airbnb hosts, because in my area at the time, there really weren't a ton. So don't take it as like strict, but use it as a guide to kind of familiarize yourself with how many Airbnbs are in the area, how many are active, just to kind of get a feel, okay? You're going to start broad and then you're going to go tighter, okay? Next. You are going to go on to Airbnb.com and you're going to find 5 to 7 comps. Okay, now in real estate, you probably know how to run your own comps, but it's very similar. If you don't, basically that just means you're going to find 5 to 7 houses that are similar to yours. If there aren't any, don't freak out. We're still going to be able to price your property. It's okay. But see what you can find that's generally close enough in your area or in similar areas to yours, okay? Same size, same square footage, not exactly, but roughly, okay? It has the same feel, same vibe, and then adjust accordingly of, well, I think that my house is gonna be much nicer than that, so I can charge more. So just like you were running regular comps, run it for an Airbnb, okay? Using Airbnb comps, okay? Now, 3, explore your comparable properties and their details and their calendars, okay? So you wanna get in there and you wanna see how occupied, what's their occupancy rate? What are the details? Do they have professional pictures? Do they offer bikes? Do they offer private rooms, or do they rent it by the rooms? Is it a private home? All those little things. So you're gonna put that in your worksheet to make sure that you're taking notes on each of these things, okay? Next. You're going to compare that data with a third-party dynamic pricing algorithm. Okay, now, look into my eyes as I tell you, do not use Airbnb smart pricing. Do not use Airbnb smart pricing, okay? Now, someday that might change, but right now they have a terrible algorithm. Airbnb's goal is to get places booked and to be booked a lot. My goal is to make money. Okay, so Airbnb is going to recommend, sometimes they recommend things, oh my goodness, sometimes they recommend that I give a monthly discount of 55%. 55%, are you kidding me? That means that if I was to do it my way, that I'd only be 45% occupied, like crazy, right? Airbnb sometimes when they say you should give a weekly discount of 30%. What? Heck no, I know that my property is going to fill up, so I don't need to offer a 30% discount. Like, I guess if I was really nice, and I like to think of myself as a nice person, but I'm not that nice. Like, I'm also running a business, right? So make sure that you are not using smart pricing. I feel like my smart pricing is usually about 40% lower than what it could be, okay? Sometimes 20, sometimes 40. but it's almost always lower than it should be. Okay, so do not use Airbnb smart pricing. I love Airbnb. I love you, Airbnb people. Like, if you're listening, I love you. But their algorithm it's not for me. Okay, so just take that into consideration, because they are going to hound you. They're going to be like, are you sure you don't want to use smart pricing? Are you sure? Are you sure you're missing out on things? Are you sure you don't want to smart price? No, do not smart price. Okay, but you are going to smart price using a different algorithm. Okay, now I use Beyond Pricing. I've also used Wheelhouse. So either of those options, there's also other options out there to help you find a dynamic pricing algorithm. What is dynamic pricing? Okay, so what that means, especially, I'll give an example. So I started my properties in North Carolina, but it's about 2 hours inland, okay? We get a lot of hurricanes, y'all. And when we get a hurricane, as soon as a hurricane is announced, I got my own things that I'm dealing with. I don't have to do anything. But because I've synced with a dynamic pricing, okay, you don't have to sync. You can do it manually if you don't want to give that money yet. But so you can either sync or not. But using that dynamic pricing algorithm, it will automatically calculate how many people are booking in my zip code. What size house are they booking? How much are they paying? And so sometimes when a hurricane is announced, within a few hours, my properties might go up $100, $200, $300 per night. I didn't have to do anything because it's part of the algorithm that's synced into my Airbnb account. So it is constantly acknowledging what is happening. Let's take my favorite students, my parents. My dad was so cute when he first started. He said, okay, I've started researching what's going on this weekend, or, next month I've started researching. There's a golf tournament, there's a baseball game, there's a this. Oh my goodness, I love you. Mwah! I love you, Dad. But you do not have time in your life, and there's no way you're going to know about every single event. And even if you do know about whatever events are in the area, you're not going to be able to know how much people are willing to charge for a room. Okay, that is why I highly recommend using a dynamic pricing site. Okay, now, I love my dad. Sorry. And my dad, he loves to be hands-on. He loves to be involved in this, and we'll talk a little bit more about him again later. And I love having students. The reason why I talk about them is because I don't want to talk about my other students, but I know my parents still love me, and I still love them, so that's why I kind of use them as examples a lot of the time. All right, let's keep going. So if you go back to your worksheet, you've gone through, you've compared the Airbnb comps with the okay. Let me go back. When you compare it when you go into Wheelhouse or Beyond Pricing, you're going to take the link to your comparables and you copy and paste it into Beyond Pricing to try a free demo, or to Wheelhouse, or to whatever dynamic pricing website you're using, okay? You're going to take it and you put it in there, and then it's going to show you not how much they are charging, how much they could be charging. Because there are so many I won't say dumb, but I was about to say dumb. There are so many hosts out there that are not being smart about it. They're working harder, they're not working smarter. And so you take their link and put it into these pricing sites, and they will tell you what you could be charging based on the market data. Now, some of your markets are not going to have these options yet, but Airbnb is still growing. Lots of good options are coming available. So even if it doesn't have it now, don't worry, guys. You're going to use these other tips we're going to talk about, and you're going to be fine. You're going to use early bird. You can use early bird pricing. I don't. Last minute discounts. In Airbnb, when you turn off smart pricing, it has an option where you can add early bird discounts or last minute discounts. So if you don't have a Beyond Pricing or a Wheelhouse in your area, meaning that you pull it up and it says, oh, not enough market data or whatever it says, then you can put in other things like last minute discounts, so that 10 days before a date, it drops at 5%. 7 days, it drops at 3%. 4 days, it drops at another 5%, something like that. So you can go in and kind of control to help lower the price as it gets closer. I never do the long-term discounts because I like to leave the long-term as open as possible for people who are going to book for 2 to 3 weeks and be happy paying the full price. Okay, so I only do last-minute discounts, but everybody has their own opinion on that. Okay. Now, next, the last thing, when you're going to average out the each column, okay, to kind of establish a range. Again, just like if you're a realtor or if you're in real estate and you've been running comps on your houses, you've got to be able to establish a range of what you think it might go for. Now, in here, this is the way I do it. I have my high, my low, So the highest I think it would go for each day of the week. My lowest I think it would go for each day of the week. And then I get a mid-range of, I feel like that's pretty good, and then a base price. But kind of ignore the base price for right now because it's kind of confusing because we're going to talk about base prices again in just a second. So hold off on that for just a second. Up here in this section, this is just the projector that we use for our students, but you can create this as well. That it has, the address it has, how much we're going to pay in utilities, we're going to pay in rent, how many nights per month we think it's going to be booked, and this just gives us an average. So then when we go over to the next slide, it pops up based on, what did I say, 20 out of 31 days, a 64% occupancy rate, and this has my total cost of utilities, then I would know, okay, if I'm in the 65% range, I'll be between the 60 and 70. And so the highest I would make is this, the lowest I would make this, the mid I would make is this. And again, we're going to talk about base prices in just a little bit, so don't worry about the base prices. But so I know, okay, I'm analyzing this property. I really think it's going to be at least 64% booked. And in this range, would I still be happy even if I just made $300 on it, with the potential of maybe making $800 on it, with the potential of maybe occupancy rate being 85%, which would be making me anywhere from $700 to $1,200. Okay, so just you're not going to be able to know an exact how much exactly you're going to make every single month. You're not. But this gives you a range, and you have to know in your gut, do you feel like even worst case scenario of your low price, high scenario, and then your mid range of where you think you're going to be. You've got to feel that to see if that's going to work for you. Okay, so using the spreadsheet, you can make on your own, or come and visit us, and we'll give you a discount on ours. But make sure that you are analyzing the numbers and figuring out if that's in the range and worth it to you. When I started, I was like, well, my rental properties are making about $400 to $500. So if I can do that and then end up buying the property and get a lower mortgage, so then that, sometimes depending on it, it could double the amount I'm making, I'm okay with that. But then I was like, you know what? It's really only worth it once I started getting more properties if it's making anywhere from $800 to $1,200 plus. Okay, so our average right now is $1,000 per property for 2 to 3 bedroom townhomes. Okay, so you've got to figure out whatever that is for you and whatever that your time is worth and your effort. Okay, so let's hop to the next thing. Most important, list it as soon as possible for reals now. Now that you have the pricing available, now that you know how much you're going to list it for, now you've gone to beyond pricing. Once you create your listing, you list it for reals, then you're going to use your URL and put it in beyond pricing or wheelhouse or whatever dynamic pricing you're using, and then it's going to tell you how much you should be charging. So then you go back over to Airbnb and you manually change it. That's what I did at the beginning. Once you're ready to start giving away some of that income because you want to turn it more passive, yes, please, that's the goal, then you're going to sync it, and it automatically does that for you, okay, so that you do not have to worry about that. All right, next. Now that we've got it priced, we feel good about our pricing, we've run numbers, we've run comps, we've analyzed it using different tools. Now we're going to talk about move-in day, okay? Like we talked about a little bit, I'm just going to cover this really fast because I know that we already covered it a little bit in the last module. Make sure that you have everything ready so that you could move in one day. I always have the goal of moving in one day, but I give myself an extra day of padding just in case. So the photographer doesn't come for a day, maybe even 2 after that, okay? So, but still within 72 hours. Don't be more than 72 hours, unless that's the lifestyle you choose, I guess, okay? But for me, I can't stand giving away money for no reason. So I want to be ready so that it's one long day. Okay, have your help ready so your cleaning team knows that you're moving in. Sometimes they help me move in. Craigslist, sometimes I'll post, I need help. I'll pay this much for moving help. Have the moving truck all ready to go. Also, when I move in, I have zone captains. Okay, I might be a little bit of a control freak, guys, but that's all right. You still love me, right? So I have zone captains. I know that when I'm moving in, I have depending on the size of the house, anywhere from 4 to 8 people helping me. I have someone that's in charge of the kitchen. I have somebody that's in charge of installing all of the locks and the internet. I have 2 people that are in charge of moving the big furniture. I have 1 person that's in charge of directing everywhere to go. So zones, like be smart about this. Like create a flow chart so that you're ready to go and you're not wasting any time, okay? And you're also not paying these people for wasted time. I hate wasted time. I hate wasted money. Okay, like we said, staging, less is always better, so don't feel like you need to overstage this property. Please, please, please invest in professional photography. It is worth every penny, okay? When you look at your competitors, it drives me bonkers when they do not have a professional photographer, because you can tell it's a cute space, but it's like it's worth the $100 for a professional photographer that has paid money for a fancy flash so that they can get the quality that your property needs to be showcased as, okay? Also, sometimes I use a virtual house tour as well. So you get your pictures, but then you also get a virtual house tour so that they can actually see everything, how it goes. Sometimes it's only an extra $50 depending on the photographer you use. Also, I get floor plans. You can have somebody do it. Sometimes it's in your photography if you find a photographer that does the photographer, virtual house tour, and the floor plans. But also you can just go onto canva.com, canva.com, or PowerPoint or something. Just make rectangles. You don't need to do like an architectural drawing. Like you don't need to see a toilet. You just need to see bedroom, 1 queen bed, bedroom 2, bunk bed. They just want to know where everything's laid out and where has a private bathroom, which bed goes with which bedrooms. So really, I highly recommend making a floor plan and getting professional photography. And then hopefully you're already booked. So as soon as you're ready, if you flip houses, it's the same way, I think, because it always was with me. But also when I'm done, every time I'm done with an Airbnb, the moment I love the most is right before the photographer gets there. And it's like perfect. And like the lines and the carpet are perfect. And I've done all my hard work. And it shows up in these beautiful pictures that you're going to be able to host people from all over the world into this home that you've created for them, whether it's for one night or for months. Okay, you've done something special and you get to do that over and over again. But enjoy that moment and enjoy that moment of seeing what you've created, and then make sure you're posting it on social media so your friends know that you're running Airbnbs, and it helps you drive traffic as well. All right, that is wrapping up that section of pricing. Let's go on to the next one.